Hi and welcome to this episode of Zeitgeist podcast with Niklas and Flo. Hi, I'm Niklas.
Hi, I'm Flo.
Today we're going to talk about Rolex watches. And I think we both have a bit of an affinity to mechanical watches. And I think at least you, Flo, own two Rolex watches, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yeah. I think I was not always like really behind the myth of the brand or the myth behind the tech. It's more like behind the brand. Obviously, they do a lot of good marketing. And I don't know. I remember when I was like a child, I saw like these watches at the jewelry store, and I always thought that at some point I would love to own at least one. I guess this is like some kind of self, like gives you like the feeling, okay, you reached a certain level that you can, uh, give back to yourself in some kind of way. And, the moment when I purchased my first watch, it was in 2020, I believe. Basically, when the prices went rocketing because of all the, I don't know, gray market kind of stuff. I was like right before the peak, and felt good. And I really love, even that I'm not wearing like one or the other right now. Love when I wear them, just looking at the dial, and it always reminds me of where everything started, and obviously not where it ended, but where it went through.
Yeah, it's a bit of a, I think, business story for you. I think I remember that around the time when you bought the first one, you told me the stories. I think you were in Las Vegas or something like that. Maybe you remember that. And you thought, okay, I want to buy a Rolex. I'll just walk into a store and get one.
Yeah. That's some kind triggered my hunter feeling, I guess. I was with my co-founder back then, and he said it is not easy as you would think, just going into a store and buy something. And I couldn't believe it, because I've never really, after like my childhood and seeing these watches at a jewelry store, I've never really paid too much attention of how the market basically moved. So I always thought, okay, there are watches at the jewelry store, so I guess at some point, if I earn enough money, I can just go into and purchase whatever I want. And then I learned basically the hard way, talking to someone at the store, that this is not possible. And I thought, okay, maybe this is just one store, one of many. And then I learned, okay, you can't just buy whatever you want.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I mean, you bought quite a sought after model. I think if I remember, it's a Submariner, right?
Yeah. The Submariner, no data. I'm also like a big James Bond fan, so for me it was always like some kind of a trigger that James Bond is wearing this watch. And after a lot of research, I learned how to do it, and what are the ways. I guess I'm still on certain lists of a lot of jewelry stores out there, but I don't think that I will ever receive a call at any point.
Yeah, I once walked into a store actually because I actually was interested in a date, just walked in. And what they basically told me, when you buy it here, if we give it to you like this price, you walk out, basically you have made money. Like, so it's at the end of the day, it's kind of a gift. If we give you one of the steel Rolexes, like from a list, what I learned there was basically, you have to buy a few of these less like models, basically, and then you get a chance on these steel models that basically.
And I guess it's
sell.
especially with a lot of these jewelries outside, it's not even just buying one of the less desired models, as you said, like the Datejust and like, you know, more, natural colors, I would say. It's also that they try to push buying a lot of jewelry you don't want to deal with in the first place, like buying a bracelet, a ring, earrings, whatever. And this makes it tough. But from my understanding, is that Rolex is changing a lot right now. I mean, they are building a huge distribution channel with Buchara and rolling this out like worldwide. So I wouldn't be too surprised at some point if there is just this way to buy a Rolex and not like third party jewelries at all who you can just go through and buy. And then obviously like the gray market will, I guess, shrink at some point if Rolex starts producing just way more watches, or if, I mean, at the end, like this is what happens all the time in markets, right? At some point you have more people who wants to buy it, less production, and then at some point it turns.
But I think for Rolex, I mean, I can understand actually if they want to kind of control the whole distribution chain and want to also control the presentation, I think. I think they have done a very good job at keeping prices up and stable, also for buyers, basically. So the secondary market on Rolex is very stable. So I think a lot of what works for the brand is built around this idea that you can actually resell it. You not lose as much money. I mean, you can buy a lot of other brands at the end of the day where you basically walk out of the store and you have lost like 30% of the purchase price still. Like,
I mean, this is like buying a car, right?
yeah, like that. But I think, I mean, we don't know what the future will bring, but till now, Rolex has, at least on these steel models, done an excellent job at kind of ensuring that the secondary market kind of keeps level, so they have shortened supply enough. And I mean, they can also, I have no clue where they are going, but yeah, I would also not be surprised if the prices stay stable and they continue to work the way they have.
I mean, we'll see every year a little raise on the prices. So I guess this is probably the way to go. Also, thanks to inflation, that's probably one of the reasons what plays into this. But as you said, I would definitely be interested in buying other brands than just Rolex. But I'm just scared the moment you get out of store that you lose value and you never know where it ends. I mean, at the end, like long run, I'm happy to, sell my watches when I turn, I don't know, 70, 80, or just give it to my kid and that she can decide what to do with it. Keep it as a memory or sell it if you are in the need of having money. And you don't really know if that is also possible with other brands.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I mean, from your experience, if you look at Rolex, did you feel a difference in the experience of wearing it in Germany and the United States? Is it somehow different? Does it get
I
noticed
don't know. I
differently?
saw like once like a really fun meme that, the moment you wear Rolex, you believe that everyone is like screaming and asking, hey, how did you do it? And at the end, no one really cares. I believe in like, since I'm wearing my watches, I've been approached like maybe 4 times. That's it.
That's
And
already
usually
4
just by
times more than.
people like have an idea what, I mean, I believe like the average Joe doesn't care at all and can't really tell if that is a Rolex or another brand or a fake or whatever. So I guess most people, they just don't care.
Yeah, and do you ever feel unsafe wearing it somewhere?
No,
Yeah,
not
but the
really.
places you travel are also, you live in
Safe.
Miami.
I mean, I hear a lot of horror stories from London and Paris that people are trying to steal it from your wrist. Um, I guess I still would wear it because I could imagine that it also depends on where you go and also if you show off or whatever. I mean, I guess it really depends on a lot of little things.
Yeah, think about London. I also heard that they steal all the phones. So like that they stole really a lot of phones, and that they now discovered a warehouse
Yeah.
where they ship the iPhones to China and these things. So this basically seems to be organized crime somehow. I don't
Yeah.
know, but I heard a lot of really weird stories there.
I guess, it makes sense to have an insurance for your watch at some point. Um, and other than this, I mean, bad things happen every day and can happen even on places you wouldn't think about it. You just
Yeah,
should
sure.
be aware of the situation and not do like any crazy stuff. I guess a lot of the bad stories we hear also maybe not always the truth. Sometimes you have people drunk going to a club, are just not really aware of the situation, and then stuff happens.
That's probably also true. Changing back to watches and Rolexes. So if you don't buy a Rolex next time, which brands are you looking at outside of Rolex currently?
I don't know. I really like Omega. I like Jaeger for some weird reasons. I don't know. um,
Are they
I,
nice? Yeah.
I guess these are the brands I would aim for the next time. I mean, as someone who appreciates watches, you also like Patek and AP, but these are way out of my range. And at some point, it doesn't really, for me at least, it's not fun anymore. I mean, buying a watch and paying the same price as a new car, like a expensive car, or maybe even a house, is in my opinion just crazy. Because
Yeah.
you get a lot of scratches with your watch. If you wear it like every day, you get scratches, and I think it hurts way more if you pay 10 times the price of a watch and get a scratch than if you have like a watch which is expensive but still some kind of affordable.
And I would also get more scared wearing it, to be honest.
Yeah, probably.
Like, I think it's a huge difference if you have like 250K on your wrist or 10
Yeah.
or 15, like, like this. Just a very different story. Anyway, please write into in the comments what you think about watches, what your favorite brand is, and we would be very happy if you liked and subscribed. This was this episode of Zeitgeist podcast. See you next time.
Bye bye.